What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the big news of the day that Until Dawn is getting a movie, and there's quite a few things to go through right now. It's an adaptation of the game, and there's a lot there. I want to start off by just saying, is this going to work? Well, generally, and I've said this before, when you have these games being turned into movies or television, generally my stance on it is I prefer not. And I would say that for Fallout or Uncharted or Last of Us or Halo or anything. The games are just so good. And I guess I'm like a gaming elitist where I don't really think they need to be turned into other things. I get why they do it. I just am not a big fan. So I would just throw that out there that generally I would like games to be left alone, primarily because most times the product is worse. And I've always said, if you're making a Halo TV show or even Last of Us or whatever, I know Last of Us was viewed quite highly, but if the show is going to be inferior to the game, I don't even know why it's worth working on. Now, maybe you don't think that when you're making it, but regardless, that's my initial thought on it. However, if you've been around the channels for any length of time, you might have heard me talk about Until Dawn because it's one of my favorite games of all time. This is I don't even know if it's underrated, but Sony, for the love of freaking God, they underrated the heck out of this when it first came out. I remember the talk of the town is, why isn't Sony promoting it? And Until Dawn did actually very, very good for them. And I say Sony because it was a exclusive to them, right? It was from Supermassive Games, who went on then to make the Dark Pictures anthology. Very up and down kind of career as a studio after Until Dawn. I think Until Dawn is their best work by a lot, and I don't think any of their games have even come close to reaching it, okay? So with that being said, is this a game that might work as a movie? Yeah, I do think it would work. Now, here's the biggest problem. It's maybe the only problem. If you make a movie off of this, aren't you then eliminating the game entirely? See, when you do something with Uncharted or Halo or Last of Us or BioShock, a lot of these games, there's more to it than just whatever they put on screen, right? Because there's a lot of gameplay, and I'm not saying there's no gameplay in Until Dawn, but out of those that I just said, the examples I just said, Until Dawn is the most walking around, interacting, making choices. That's definitely a big part of Until Dawn. You make choices and outcomes will change depending on what you choose. So in that way, could a movie ever completely replace and kick out the game? Well, it could in one playthrough path, right? Say the good ending of the game when everybody, survives. If you do that in the movie, are you replacing it? You kind of are. You're replacing that playthrough of the game. Now, again, you're not going to be able to get everything. This is about an 8-9 hour game. Obviously, a movie, 2 hours. So you have to shave off a lot of this. And I also wonder, I'm not going to spoil in case people haven't played the 8-year-old game at this point, or actually 9 years, I think, this upcoming summer. But half of this game is a more Scream whodunit thing. And then it becomes supernatural. That's literally the basis of this thing. So as a movie, you're going to have to move kind of fast. Half the movie, 1 hour, is introducing the cast, and it's a whodunit, kind of teen slasher thing. And then second half, which it's not entirely that, but it's close. And then the second half is the more supernatural, elements to it. So that's one thing. Another thing I want to talk about is, well, what do you do with the cast? So if you're doing an adaptation, a lot of the names in the game are actually quite big. People may now. I wouldn't say people made a name for themselves in this game, but a Hayden Panettiere, right? Kirby in Scream, a franchise I know quite well. We've covered quite a bit. Rami Malek, however you say his name. I never understand how to do it, but he's a huge actor, right? Very, very talented guy. So I guess the question I would have is, here's the thing. It is supposed to be more teen-like, right? They are late teens in this game. So they're not old in real life, but they are in their early, mid, late 30s, okay? Now, I'm 27. I don't think, 34 is all that old. But if you're supposed to be playing 19, 20-year-olds, and that's even if you stretch it, right? Even if you stretch it to young 20s, well, a lot of these people are young 30s at the youngest, right? So, if you're making an adaptation of it, you have these people literally still around, you could literally just put them into their proper roles. You could just bring everybody back and do it. But, again, would they? Because, they've aged it's been 10 years basically since they made the game. It's been a while. If it was 10 years ago and they were making it when they were also making the game, it may have worked, right? So I don't know. In fact, if you think about it like that, they were in their early 20s when they, were creating this game. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I would like to see them all return. I actually think that would be quite cool. Actually, and I've been saying this forever, I'd love an Until Dawn 2. Now, like the Dark Pictures anthology is the future of it, right? And I don't think they're ever going to actually make a legitimately named game called Until Dawn 2. I don't think they're ever going to do that. But could they do it as a movie? The thing is, the way that this news story has been pitched, right, is that it's just going to be, off of the first game. So you imagine they're just going to do the first game as a movie, which I'm okay. I've long said, especially with these kind of things, like I said, you can mess it up quite easily. You might as well just go buy the books, just maybe replicate, the first game, see how it does. Hey, if the movie takes off, and this is a horror thing, if you can make this for $15, $20, $25 million, and this thing makes $100 million in the box office, which is totally possible, horror crushes it nowadays. If you do that, number one, I'd love to see you continue the game franchise and maybe it gets more eyes on it. And number two, and the game already did well. Again, like the game already is an established thing. But number two, like maybe you make it a trilogy of movies and maybe you can make literally a sequel to it. I don't know. It would be odd if the Until Dawn 2 that we get is actually a movie and it's the sequel to the first game made into a movie and they make a sequel off of it. That would actually be quite wild. But hey, ultimately I'm willing to give it a shot. I think it could actually be quite good. You got a great foundation, literally the game. Just follow it. You're going to have to get rid of like 80% of it. And that is tough, and that could easily sink it. But, if you do it right, I think it might be okay. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.